What it do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Axis of Combat podcast, episode 79. Today we're going to be breaking down UFC 310. And just like y'all Thanksgiving dinner, got a little bit of UFC, got a little bit of Top Rank, and you will top it off with a little bit of Match Room. But before we get into any of that, it's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna, Rayo from the AO, and my co-host.
Hugo the boss, Hugo got next. One half of the new world order of professional MMA and boxing betting. You already know. And before I get to any of that business, you already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying these visuals right now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card, at men's heavyweight, we have Kennedy, the African Savage, Nzechukwu, going one-on-one with Luque, the Bull Brzeski. Nzechukwu, 13-5, fighting out of Dallas, Texas, repping Nigeria, 32 years old. Brzeski, 9-5-1, fighting out of Poland, hailing from Poland, 32 years old. So we've been missing UFC for about a week, but you know, once it comes back to their old shenanigans with low-level heavyweights kicking off the card here. Brzeski wasn't his original opponent originally. I think they were serving him up to some 7-0 cat fighting out of Brazil. He was going to be bigger. He was going to be longer. That kid had all his wins, I think 90% of them by knockout. They were serving Brzeski up. They're probably still serving Brzeski up here with late notice replacement Nzechukwu here. Nzechukwu, second stint at heavyweight. First fight was not too long ago against fan favorite Beast Boy.
Yep.
Barnett. Give me Nzechukwu here. Is this fight slightly better for Brzeski than his previous opponent? Probably. Is it probably a little more winnable? Probably. Is he going to win it? I doubt it. So give me Nzechukwu here, probably by second round KO.
Yeah, I'm with you here on in Kennedy, but I am not laying on this price tag at minus 520. I feel like Łukasz Brzeski, the more he opens up throughout this week, I think he's going to get to plus 450. I think that's a system play because low-key, Kennedy's kind of a donk. He kind of does it to himself at times. He has all the skills, all the physical abilities, the height, the length, but Łukasz does have decent boxing. Łukasz has kind of fraud checked some people before, like Walter
Walker.
Yeah. I thought he was going to lose that fight, and he fraud checked him.
And technically, I thought his best fight, in my opinion, was his first fight against Boudet, who I thought he actually won that fight.
I thought he won that fight too. I agree. And I feel like Kennedy is better than both those guys technically, but Kennedy just makes a lot of mistakes, doesn't have the best chin. I wonder if him not cutting the weight to 205 is going to help him with his chin, but this is heavyweight. These guys hit at a different bracket. Chris Barnett was very close to connecting on his chin a few times. I know he's more creative with his striking, but he has T-Rex arms and should not even be able to touch Kennedy's chin at all, even if he jumped up and swung at it. I just feel like Kennedy's the better fighter here, but if this price tag gets a little crazy, I'm definitely going to bet Brzeski. That's where I'm at. Kennedy and Nzechukwu's the lean, but not very uber confident in that bet.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we got Clay the Carpenter Guida going one-on-one with the Dream. Chase the Dream. Chase Hooper. Guida, 38-24-0, fighting out of Illinois, 42 years old, going one-on-one with Chase Hooper, 14-3-1, fighting out of Washington of the good old US of A, 25 years old. This fight is actually kind of easy. Not easy for me to pick, but I'm picking Chase Hooper here to win. Nothing against Guida. I think Guida, maybe if he had 10 more years, if he could just rewind time a bit, this would be a way more competitive fight. Do you guys actually have already fought each other in a grappling match?
Yep.
Where I think he finished him via calf slicer?
Yes.
Or, I mean, that's some old man shit because calf slicer is not the most...
They're painful, but it's not something you're going to lose consciousness over.
And listen, Chase Hooper has been showing, moderate progression in his game. I mean, his last fight against Slava Claus showed that his striking has improved. His striking defense is still dog shit, but he was able to rock Borchev in a couple instances in that fight. Obviously, his bread and butter is the ground game. Was able to, get him out that way. But I like Chase Hooper here. I think Chase Hooper's obviously going to be the bigger guy, the longer guy, the younger guy.
Much younger.
It's sad to see my boy Clay Guida go out the way he's going to go out, but
yeah.
give me Hooper, ITD, probably by sub.
I'll go by sub.
Because Guida's got like 11 sub losses. I mean, yeah, he's been in the game long enough, but like Hooper by sub, I think. Second round, I'm calling it.
Yeah, I'm there. And I think Clay will give him something interesting in the first round to look at, maybe with the striking, and then Chase is either going to close the distance in the end of the first or towards the second, and then just try to get a hold of his neck on a shot. Pressure him, force the shot out of him, get his neck, and then choke him out. I think Chase is just the new generation of grappler. He's young, bigger, stronger. I would say probably stronger. Just the only thing that Clay probably has for him in this fight is the endurance and stamina, because he does not have any limits to his gas tank. But I think Chase is just the next level. I think Chase is the next generation of fighter. And I think Chase is the real deal, especially after that last performance against Borishev, which he did open up in his striking. His ground and pound looked vicious as fuck. But I feel like he's going to get this done via submission. Give me Chase Hooper. I'll say submission second round. I agree with you.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Michael the Maverick Chiesa going one-on-one with Max Payne Griffin. Chiesa, 17-7. Fighting out of Spokane Valley, Washington, 37 years old. Max Griffin, 20-10 overall, fighting out of Sacramento, California, 39 years old. So we got one of our first of many Battle of the Old on this card. Chiesa, for people who haven't seen him fight lately, probably most known for his on-camera work, his commentary work, his new job, in my opinion. Max Payne, a little bit on the older side. I still think he's the better fighter here, in my opinion. I think if this fight is on the feet, I think it's Max all day. This fight does stink just a bit because Chiesa is one of these guys where, unlike another guy we're going to be talking about later who also has a commentary gig, I feel like Chiesa really takes the commentary gig and, uses it to his advantage in terms of really doing tape, and uses it in a way where he's got a different outlook on how he approaches fights, right? I'm going to be picking Max Griffin to win here, probably by decision. If you like the Chiesa side and it stinks, I don't like the Chiesa side, but I do think sub is probably live for him, only because, again, Max Griffin, kind of went a little life and death with Jeremiah Wells in his last fight, even though he was able to stuff a decent amount of his takedowns. On top of the fact that Chiesa, historical weight bully.
Yeah, let's wait you guys get to me.
Yeah. I'll let my brother elaborate on that one a little more, but
oh my God.
He's going to be the bigger guy in here. He's going to have the longer frame. As much as I don't want to admit it, I think Chiesa is a bit live here. I am picking Max by decision, but in terms of a bet, I might be looking at a Chiesa sub here, depending on the number, but that's what I got for this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on Max Griffin, and here's going to be my historical rant on Chiesa. I think Michael Chiesa is generationally ass.
Oh, shit.
I just hit him with the chill. Henderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
You absolutely suck.
I think Chiesa is a historical weight bully. I think he had great success at 55 because he was able to just out-muscle and get certain guys in that position, which is why he was able to just cut through Tony Ferguson, who is a natural 55er in his last fight.
That matchup hurt.
That was easy. That was easy. But it was fight ends in subs, everything. We made good money on that night. I just feel like Max Griffin, good takedown defense. Jeremiah Wells is a tank. Could not get him down. Neil Magny had issues getting him down. There's guys who are better than Michael Chiesa that had issues at getting him to the floor. The only reason this is not a Max bet is because Max Griffin kind of outthinks himself in there sometimes. I feel like he could do a lot better. He did go all 3 rounds with Mike Morales. He gave Mike Morales some fits in that fight too with the striking. But I think his distance management is pretty good. His chin's a little questionable. I'm going to probably be playing Max in this fight. But if that number for Chiesa on sub looks juicy enough, I definitely will play it, because one thing Chiesa does do good, I feel like he's almost too smart on the complimentary side. I feel like he's almost too smart to be fighting. Yeah, it's terrible to say that.
He's a very high IQ fighter.
He's a high IQ gentleman.
Yes, he is.
I don't think he's stupid.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but I
actually enjoy his commentary work.
Yes, I can say that he's not great as a fighter, but I got to give him all the credit in terms of his brain. I think he knows what he's doing. He doesn't really lose fights unless he's getting it beaten out of him. And then he kind of looks for the door. I think he's going to do all the tape work. I think he's going to try and find spots here. And he will sell out for the takedown. He will. He's not going to want to stand with Max for too long. Max will chew up his front leg too. If the sub looks good, I will play it, but I'm definitely on Max for this fight to win. I think Max is going to get it done via decision because he's not the most prolific knockout puncher either. And Chiesa, once again, high IQ fighter. Give me Max Griffin. Don't know how I'm going to play it, but he's definitely the lean for this fight. But don't be surprised if I play a Chiesa by sub, because I think that's the only way he wins this fight.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have custom made. Oh, he got a new nickname. Cody Durden. What was his previous nickname? Do you know?
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. Damn, the disrespect. Going one-on-one with Joshua Van, the fearless Joshua Van. Durden, 17-6-1, fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, 33 years old. Joshua Van, fighting out of Houston, Texas, repping some country I will not pronounce because I don't want to disrespect it. 11-2 overall, 23 years old. I got a feeling that me and my brother are going to disagree here because the more I think about this fight, I initially thought, you know what, Josh Van's the side here, you know? He's definitely the better striker. He's younger. He's got the better record. You know, he did what he needed to do against Edgar Chairez, and that was on the UFC Noche card. That's the last time we seen Van. Van did get into a little bit of trouble there, though, because, you know, I'm a big fan of Chairez. I think Chairez, people kind of overlook him a little bit. You know, that motherfucker got dog in him, so. And that fight was a dog fight. Excellent fight. You haven't seen it? Go and watch it. Speaking of dogs, he's going against Cody Durden here. Another dog. And this dog is barking, in my opinion. Give me Cody Durden here for the upset. Here's why. Like I said, Joshua Van, he is the better striker. He's one of these guys where, you know, maybe a bit of a slow starter. He'll give that first round away. But once he gets into that flow state, my man is swinging and banging. But I do think Cody Durden, a little underrated with the hands. You know what I'm saying? I think his boxing's a little underrated. And I think, not that he's better than Josh, but I think he can keep up with Josh. The key word, I think it's competitive. Now, where I think Cody Durden's going to take over is when he takes this man down. Now, will he have success taking him down? Probably not initially. You know, Cody's one of those guys, though. He's got that dog. You dangle a piece of meat in front of him, he gonna keep chasing that piece of meat. So, pause. So, you know, he might not get the first attempt or the second attempt, but the third attempt. And then once he get that boy down, what Josh Van gonna do? I don't think he's gonna do nothing. Give me Cody Durden here. Probably by a decision, but I wouldn't rule out a little submission. Because, I mean, this is probably the best wrestler Josh Van has fought. And Cody Durden has been looking pretty all right lately. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though he did beat Matt Schnell, it's still Matt Schnell.
Everyone beats up on Matt Schnell.
Give me Cody Durden here. That's the side. That's the pick. That's the dog.
That was the most sinister breakdown I've ever heard. With that said, we are going to disagree. I feel
I knew it.
I feel Cody Durden, if you look at who he's beaten as of late, they're kind of just like not the best level of competition, to be frank.
Hey, what was wrong with Matt Schnell?
He got beat up by Bruno Silva. He got beat up by Tagir, but that's an elite guy, so I'm going to give him a pass there. He almost got killed by Jake Hatley in the second round. If he didn't have like huge balls, he probably would have tapped. Like, I got to give him a lot of credit there. Then we have on the other side, Josh Van, who beat up Chairez his last fight, and but got donked by Charles Johnson the previous fight. And I feel Charles Johnson, not a big puncher. Cody Durden does have some pop in his punches. I will give him all the credit there and this and that. What I will say is I think Cody's a little susceptible to the body, and Josh Van is a good body puncher. Like, he's very good at it. He knows how to put his boxing together effectively. And I could see him, like, Cody panic shooting, which is going to be interesting for Van because he's not like a real guillotine artist guy. If he had a guillotine, I'm definitely playing him. But I'm going to go Josh Van just because I think he's the more youthful guy. Even though I think he learned a lot from that Charles Johnson fight. And I think the Chairez fight also showed his dog. He was able to put damage on a guy who's pretty durable, to be frank. And I feel like Van's punching power mixed with his combination punching, I feel like he's going to give Cody a lot to think about. And if Cody does not get this fight to the floor immediately, he's going to be in trouble. That's just where I'm at. But Josh did show decent takedown defense in the last two contests, Charles Johnson and Chairez. Cody, not the best open mat wrestler. Like, he's okay. I think he's pretty good at getting to the back. I think he's going to have a lot of trouble getting Josh Van down. I think Josh is just younger and the better athlete. So just on a hunch, not very confident. Give me Josh Van as the lean here, but not extreme confidence because he's another one. Both these guys are kind of got to show me something, to be frank, for me to even want to play him. But Josh Van's the lean.
Next fight on the card at catchweight, 195. We got a fight that was supposed to take place one pay-per-view earlier. The All-American Chris Weidman going one-on-one with your boy, Eryk Anders. Weidman 16-7 fighting out of Baldwin, New York, 40 years old. And we got Eryk Anders here, 16-8 overall, fighting out of Birmingham, Alabama, 37 years old. Another battle of the old. Another fight that we extensively broke down. Even gave out an early pick that fight. Now, have I changed my pick? No. For the most part, I still think Chris Weidman is the side here. You know, we got him at a, decent plus 125 earlier. The last time this fight was supposed to happen at 309. Was able to snatch up a little bit of plus money here at plus 100. Still played him for about 2 units. I still feel pretty decent about it. Now, there's a couple things that kind of got me on the fence a bit. One, that this fight is taking place at 195. I think that benefits both guys, but I think that benefits Eryk Anders just a bit more. Only because, Eryk Anders really cuts down heavy to 185 where he'd be looking like death. I don't know if it's like a, hey, you guys just had Thanksgiving. We ain't gonna have y'all cut that much weight. I'm sure Eryk Anders was like, fuck yeah to that. So, so I feel like that kind of favors Anders a bit more than Weidman. And then 2, and this probably favors Weidman a little more. Last I read, Weidman was a little pissed off because they didn't pay him his show money. So he might be, and then, he got denied fighting at MSG. He's, he was there like, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to fight. They called him an hour before and basically was like, yeah, this fight ain't happening. Anders pulled out with food poisoning. He might be coming in here with a little bit of an edge. Now he's got to come to Vegas to, put a whooping on Anders. Give me Weidman here. Probably by decision. I still think Weidman's the side, and as long as he's plus money, I still think he's playable.
Yeah, I don't think the catch weight's too much of a problem. I think Weidman's pretty big for the division as well. There was talks at one point when Weidman was champion when he was going to move up and fight John Jones because he is that much of a humongous human being. He was Stipe's predominant wrestling partner for a big part of Stipe's career, and Stipe used to talk about how good Chris was on the mat in terms of giving him work. I don't think the weight's going to be an issue. I think Chris is the better wrestler here. I think he's going to be able to control where this fight goes. Anders does like to play off his back a little too much. I think he's a brown belt at this point, but Chris is a high-level black belt, has competed in a ton of tournaments. The only thing that worries me about Weidman is his age, his chin, and his leg. Obviously, his leg because he broke it. His chin because he has been cracked a couple of times, and
Anders does crack.
Yeah, and his age. Yeah. But the thing is, if you're asking me, if Brad Tavares, who hits pretty hard, could not knock out Chris or stop Chris with leg kicks, Anders not a notorious leg kicker. He just throws bombs, to be frank.
And not high volume either.
Not high volume. I expect Anders also old. I feel like Chris is going to be able to dominate the space, get in whenever he wants, take him down if he needs to. Brad Tavares, historically high takedown defense. So if you're looking at that fight as a reference, he's a good wrestler. He's very good, especially against the cage in MMA wrestling. Eryk Anders, not the same. Eryk Anders got cracked by Jeremy Pickett, man. What's it? It's Jeremy Pickett, right?
Jamie Pickett.
Jamie Pickett. Yeah, I don't even remember that guy because he's horrible. Horrible, bro.
Horrible fight.
Horrible fighter, bro. And when you're getting dropped by Jamie Pickett, I mean, God.
Yeah,
you might have to start reconsidering career paths.
And nothing against Anders either, because I think he's an athlete's athlete.
Yeah, he played high level college football, man.
Alabama, and to get on an Alabama team, you need to be a supreme athlete.
You gotta be.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking anything away from him. I just think Chris is a good athlete too, and even at 40, I feel like he's going to get this fight wherever he wants. Plus, I think Chris has the cleaner striking. Eryk Anders overhand, etc., etc. Chris Weidman, we already put 2 units down. Don't be surprised if we play this plus 100 line one more time, maybe for another unit or 2. I'm not sure, depending on where the juice is with this card. I feel like this is Chris's fight to lose. This is a good fight for Chris. Chris Weidman is the side here.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Rude Boy Randy Brown going one-on-one with the Butcher, Bryan Battle. Brown, 19-5, fighting out of Queens, New York, repping Jamaica, 34 years old. The Butcher, Bryan Battle, fighting out of Charlotte, North Carolina, 11-2 overall, 30 years old. Good fight, interesting fight. A fight that I kind of go a little back and forth on, and I think the key word is going to be, well, not the key word, but I think the key part to this fight is who dictates the pace here. If this fight is a distance fight, I think Randy Brown is going to piece him up. Randy Brown, I think, is the better striker. Randy Brown knows how to use his distance, knows how to use all that length. Is he the bigger guy here? He is the bigger guy.
Yeah.
And he is the longer guy. Pause. Randy Brown, also from New York, so, I got a little bit of bias, and, I've been warming up to Randy Brown, but he's been a guy that historically I have a hard time trying to cap. Bryan Battle, dog, right? And this is probably the best opponent he's fought on paper, just being completely honest. So it is a step up. His last fight was against, what's his name? Kinnaman.
Yeah, that's not his name, but it's hilarious.
Giuseppe, yeah. Where, listen, Giuseppe, I thought was a good test for him. Giuseppe's a very good striker.
Big.
Durable, big. Pause. And, you know, he put a beating on Bryan Battle. But Bryan Battle was able to overcome that.
And put a beating on him.
I think he talked shit to the crowd at the same time.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He was on one. Bryan Battle is just a dog. And I think Randy Brown is able to keep this a distance fight, keep it clean, keep it technical. It's Randy Brown all day. Bryan Battle, if he wants to win, he's got to push the pace. He's got to make it dirty. He's got to make it ugly. He's got to push him against the fence. He's got to try to take him down. And he's just got to make this just a drag him out, beat him up kind of fight. I am going to be picking Bryan Battle to win here more times than not. I think he is going to be able to get to Randy Brown and, like, you know, push him against the cage and just make this a fucking drag him out war, right? I might, from a betting perspective, I might look at some props to see if, like, you know, Randy Brown by decision is, you know, juicy. Because I might take a little nibble at that. He is the side. He is the pick. That's what I'm leaning.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fight where Bryan's probably going to push the wrestling a little bit. I like fight ends and sub for this fight.
I don't hate that, actually.
Yeah, I think Randy and him both have sub skills. I do. They have a couple of submissions on their record. I'm going to lean Bryan for the same reasons you did. I think just the volume punching. I seen him walk through some of Joel Kinnaman's jabs. And deliver damage. Like, Joel Kinnaman has one of the best jabs in MMA.
We're talking about Bryan. We're talking about Giuseppe, by the way, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I said yeah. It's crazy, right? You got me in the blender here, but he looks just like him.
He does.
So Kevin Giuseppe has one of the best jabs in MMA. I think Giuseppe was able to discipline him for a little while, and Bryan, just good fight IQ, just said, fuck it, I'm going to walk through some of the shit, slip some of it, and rip. Giuseppe was able to stay in there for a little while, but after a while, just the damage accumulated, and he was able to put him away. I feel like Randy, not the best chin, got choked out by Jack Della. So that says a lot, by the way, after getting rocked.
Did he name Jack the God?
Yeah, who doesn't sub anybody.
Yeah.
Just knocks dudes out. I feel like this is Bryan's fight to lose, because Randy, as defensively sound as he is and thinks he is, he does get hit a lot. He likes to use smooth boxing and try to get out the way of punching, but not a high volume guy, man. Bryan Battle, high volume guy, a guy who will push the pace and not sit on the outside and throw very little volume. I feel like this is definitely Bryan's fight to lose. Give me this fight to end in sub as a prop. I'm hoping it's juiced.
I actually really like that.
I'm gonna play it. Yeah, like, I'm gonna play it if it's juiced. But Bryan Battle's definitely a lean here.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have Movsar Evloev fighting the Funk Master Aljamain Sterling. Evloev, 18-0, perfect. Fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 30 years old. Aljamain Sterling, 24-4, fighting out of Cortland, New York. I said 24-4 already, right?
Yes, you did.
35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting fight. I don't want to say it's going to be a good fight, because I think chances are this fight is going to be boring as fuck.
It could be very fun if they really engage in the grappling exchanges as soon as possible.
I got a weird feeling it's not going to be fun. Like, if you want a reenactment of this fight, I want you to take two of your finest linen, you know, some nice towels. They're going to dump them in water, and then you're just going to throw them against each other. That's the way this fight's probably going to look. They're gonna be all over each other. It's gonna be a grappling match. Give me Evloev here. He's just, I know Dana doesn't like him, calls him boring, doesn't really getting that many finishes. I do think he's gonna win this fight by decision. I think Aljo's good, right? He's moving up. I could kind of compare this a lot to, like, Deiveson Figueiredo. He's moving up in weight. Former champion in his previous weight class. Got a very impressive win over Calvin Kattar. Now he's running into a Russian here, just like Deiveson Figueiredo ran into Peter Yan. Unfortunately for Aljo, I think this is just a levels game here. I think Evloev is very good, underrated striking. I think he's the better wrestler. I just think that unless Aljo can, like, you know, implement his game plan, which is what he wants to do, is just get to Evloev's back, right? And then backpack him, beat him up from there. I don't think he's going to have that kind of success against Evloev. I think Evloev by decision is probably what I'm leaning. Only because, I mean, Aljo's
never been subbed.
Not the easiest guy to finish either.
Never been subbed. Yeah, I'm there too. If this was a 5-round fight, I'd be more entitled to play Aljo. Evloev gassed out against homeboy from London. that trains with
Arnold Allen?
Yes, with Leon Edwards, Arnold Allen. And Arnold Allen was teeing off on him in that third round. That fight was another round or two. He probably would have stopped him. With that said, Aljo does not have that kind of striking prowess. Aljo has gotten to the back of guys who are not predominantly wrestlers. The only one he's done it to really is Corey Sandhagen. I think the lights just got too bright for Corey that night and he just took his back and subbed him. I feel like Evloev's physicality, and I think he's the bigger puncher here. This is a fight that's going to take place predominantly on the floor, but Evloev is going to be the one who's more comfortable on the feet. But I could see a world where Aljo is throwing a ton of volume and just disrupting him and he doesn't know what to do. But I don't think Evloev is going to be afraid to wrestle into Aljo. I don't. I think he trusts his defensive grappling enough to get away from tough submissions. He's very good off the body lock, just like that Russian Daggy style wrestling. And I feel like Aljo is going to have a little difficulty with the physicality of him. I feel like Aljo's entries aren't good. His freestyle wrestling's not great. He has like a Greco-Roman background. Very good once he gets on your back. Very good if he gets on top of you. Very good if he gets any kind of side control on you. But he has to get there first. And I'm not sure he's going to particularly get there in certain positions when Diego Lopez had a hard time getting to those positions. And I think Diego Lopez is a better fighter than Aljo. I think this is Evloev's fight to lose. Give me Evloev. Just not this side at minus 270. If I almost wanted to go up to plus 300 because then it's a system play on Aljo, but even 250, I think it's a system play on Aljo. He's plus 220 right now, but I got to go Evloev. I think Evloev's physicality is going to give Aljo a ton of problems. And I'll see what the sub fight ends in sub prop is here. I'll look at that too because I can see one of these guys making a little bit of a mistake and getting caught. Whether Aljo gets his back and subs him or Evloev gets him in a dart stroke off a front headlock series. I could see either or happening. So give me Evloev though as the lean, not with the highest degree of confidence and definitely not at this line, but fight ends in sub is definitely something I'm interested in.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Vicente, the silent assassin Luque, going one-on-one with Themba, the answer Gorimbo. Luque, 22-10-1, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 33 years old. Gorimbo, 14-4, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, repping Zimbabwe, 33 years old. Wasn't Luque's original opponent. He was scheduled to fight Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, for whatever reason, pulled out. Thank God. Now he's fighting short notice replacement Gorimbo here, and it's going to come down to whether or not how washed you think Vicente Luque is.
Luque 5 years ago, this is a minus 400.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but
I agree. Luque, I know his last fight against Joaquim. Not to take anything away from Joaquim and not to say Luque quit in there, but it kind of looked that way, you know?
I agree.
And
that's alarming.
It's a little unfortunate because I think Luque he's a decent fighter. The way to beat Luque is to take him down, take away his hands. Vicente is a little more shop worn. Gorimbo's got his bread and butter is the grappling. He's long, he's lanky, not afraid to throw. I don't think that fear factor that Luque once had is there. I don't think Gorimbo's gonna go in there like really respecting this guy.
I think this fight should be lined a little more closely.
It should be a closer line fight for sure. I think Luque at dog money is probably decent here. But I don't have that much confidence in this fight either way because I could 100% see Gorimbo ragdolling him a bit.
Which annoys me.
I'm not too high on Gorimbo, but
which is why this is a fight that I'll jump in here too, and my brother will get back to it, but we don't have a high degree of confidence in it.
No.
And we might not even play it.
The confidence is very low.
Yeah. If there was a better fighter in front of Luque, sure. This Themba is not that guy. He swings wide. Vicente is going to be the better striker. Vicente does have a very good front headlock series. This is another fight. Maybe fight ends in sub. Man, there's a lot of fight ends in subs here that I'm thinking about. I could see him, if he hits Vince to the body, catches him with a good body kick and folds him, I could just see him jumping on the darts. Like I said, I don't know if I want to touch this fight. I have better fight ends and subs props for a lot of these other fights.
Yeah, I got bad vibes on this fight in general.
Yeah, this fight stinks. Something smells bad about it, and I don't know what it is. I'm with you, but yeah, I'm with you. I think Gorimbo's the side man, but I don't have a high degree of confidence for any of that shit.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have Lionheart Anthony Smith going one-on-one with the Devastator Dominick Reyes. Smith, 37-20-0, fighting out of Omaha, Nebraska, 36 years old. Dom Reyes, 13-4 overall, fighting out of California, 34 years old. Another one of these battle of the old-ish, I guess. Dominick ain't that old, I guess, for light heavyweight. Smith, to a certain extent, isn't either, but Smith has got mileage on him.
Very, very high mileage.
And to a certain extent, Reyes does have a bit of mileage on his chin. I'm going to be picking Dom Reyes here to win. And it's only because it's certain things. One, I think Reyes is the better striker. I think he's going to be the more nimble guy in the octagon. I don't think he's as washed as people have been saying he is, even though he is coming off of like a 4-fight losing streak. He has, if you look at those losses, it's John Jones, it's Prohashka.
Champions.
It's, it's high level comp, you know what I'm saying? Anthony Smith, again, another one of these guys doing commentary, a little cozy in his new job. Issue is, I think Dom Reyes, just in the striking department, 100% has him covered. Dom Reyes is also a guy who hasn't been submitted, and I think he's got an underrated jiu-jitsu game.
Underrated takedown defense. No one talks about it. Yeah, he has very underrated takedown defense as well.
This is another fight that I don't think is going to go to distance just because of the chin on both these guys, and this one might also be a sneaky fight ends and sub.
Maybe. I would say sneaky knockout. I think it's not even sneaky. I think it is going to be a knockout.
Either way, I don't think this fight goes. Give me Dom Reyes for the win here. In terms of a bet, I don't know. I would have to dig a little deeper to see if it's even bettable, if any lines stick out. But give me Reyes here for the win.
Yeah, I'm on Reyes as well. I think Reyes, low key, might be a comfortable parlay piece, and I don't say that like comfortably, but I feel like. I feel like he is comfortable because where does Anthony Smith win this fight? I feel like Anthony Smith is shot to hell. Unless he gets on like a new post-USADA plan, I don't think he's gonna be able to do anything. He's in there talking to Johnny Walker about how you're trying to get after my family. Like he's trying to find motivation to get up for these fights. Then Khalil Roundtree made mincemeat of him. Then he fought Victor Petrino, fraudish, fraud qualities, just like Richardson Hitchins, who we'll talk about later on this podcast. And then the last fight he had was against who?
Was it Delitze? Was that his last fight? It was, right?
He looked like the one that was coming off the couch for the fight. Yeah. He had the whole camp. Delitze looked like the fresher fighter. I think I have serious concerns about Anthony Smith continuing the fight. I like him. I've always liked him. I think he's all dog. I just think, dude, like sometimes like you have to know when to put it down. And this is one of those fights where I feel like he's got to put it down. I don't think he's going to be able to clip Dom clean. I think he's going to have a much harder time taking Dom down than he thinks. Dom was able to stop John Jones's takedowns, was able to stuff Jerry, I think for a certain extent, took Jerry down. Oh, man. And then pounced on Jerry. I don't see it. The only bad loss he has is really against Ryan Spann, and that's because Ryan Spann can crack anyone on any given night, right?
Another gifted guy that, if he can get it together, I mean, Ryan Spann can be a problem.
Correct. And then the other fight was against John Blachowicz, who, by the way, that was the championship fight. And then John that was a fight that kind of woke people up to how good John was. So he's already lost to champions outside of Ryan Spann. And Anthony Smith has come close, but no cigar, man. And he looks extremely shot. I feel like this is a fight that's comfortably Dom Reyes. Comfortably. I don't know I'm going to bet it. I feel like if I can get a 2-leg going and it'll come out to like close to even money or plus money, I'll play it. But this is a fight I might stay away from because I think minus 340 for a guy that's been knocked out as bad as him is crazy. But I just don't see Anthony being able to cover distance fast enough to hurt him. I don't see Anthony being able to wrestle him down and sub him. I agree with you. I think Dom has a very underrated grappling game, and his wrestling defense is very good. Very good. Give me Dom Reyes here, probably by knockout.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have Nate the Train Landwehr going one-on-one with the Korean Superboy, Doo-Ho Choi. Landwehr, 18-5 overall, fighting out of Clarksville, Tennessee, 36 years old. Doo-Ho Choi, 15-4-1, fighting out of South Korea, repping South Korea, 33 years old. Banger of a fight, high action, high pace. I do think Landwehr is the favorite. I think he's probably the rightful favorite, and I think he's the favorite because he has the wrestling edge here. If this fight stays standing, it's probably 50-50. I might lean Choi. I think he's probably the better striker here. Give me Nate for the win. I think Nate, if he does decide to take this fight down, has the clear advantage. Nate, inside the distance. This fight in general, inside the distance, is probably the way to kind of play it. Choi is probably worth a dog shot here, only because I do think Choi, to his credit, his wrestling defense has gotten a little better. I'll give credit to where credit's due. I thought he did beat Kyle Nelson, and they took it away from my boy. And then his last fight, he did beat Bill Algeo. the dog shot with him KO, fight ends in KO is probably live here. But give me Nate. Slight edge in the wrestling. He's the favorite. I get it. That's all I got for this one.
Yeah, I like Nate late. I like Doo Ho Choi early. And that's how I think you should play this fight, depending on how the value is. But I think Doo Ho Choi at plus money is good, too. Like, he's a plus 120 right now. I don't think that's a bad bet. I think he's the cleaner puncher. I think he's the much cleaner puncher, actually. I think this is probably one of the best strikers that Landwehr has fought. This guy just knocked out Bill Algeo. And I know Bill Algeo, I'm not very high on him either. But Bill does know how to win fights. And I thought it was a little bit of a premature stoppage, but I do think that was not going to get any better for him. I think Doo Ho Choi landed fucking flush on him, and that's a guy who's hard to hit. Nate, not a guy who's hard to hit.
Not at all.
I felt like he hasn't felt big power like this since Dan Ige. Dan Ige was able to control him, win. He beat David Onama, who I think is a fraud. Austin Lingo.
Just a boxer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Jamal Emmers. Probably one of his more.
No, that was an impressive win.
That was impressive. Yeah, one of his more impressive wins. Doo Ho Choi, I think, is a better striker than Jamal. Not the better overall fighter, but he can exploit Nate on the feet in ways that other fighters can't. That Korean boxing system is something to fucking behold. I feel Doo Ho Choi can pack him up. I like Doo Ho Choi early, Nate late. That's how I would play this fight. Nate might be a good live bet spot if he's taking a ton of damage and was able to survive it, and then he gets into the later rounds, because I do think he can bury Doo Ho Choi with the pressure. But if you're asking me, I think I'm going to pick the guy with the better skills. Doo Ho Choi by knockout, but not with a high degree of confidence. This is a fight where I might play both of them. Nate late, Nate live. I think that's the way to play this fight, not as a premature bet. Give me Doo Ho Choi, though, as the lean.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell going one-on-one with Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell, 16-2, fighting out of Arkansas, right? Arkansas?
Yep.
I was going to say Arkansas. I don't know why. My brain did something crazy there.
That's probably how he pronounces it.
Yeah, probably. 16-2, like I mentioned, 30 years old, going one-on-one with Kron Gracie, who was 5-2, fighting out of Los Angeles, California, but repping Brazil, 36 years old. So, I mean, I'm not going to take complete credit for this, but this is definitely the battle of the flat earth.
Yeah, 100%.
Whoever loses has to admit that they were wrong. Bryce Mitchell is the favorite. I think he is the rightful favorite, only because, like, listen, nothing against Kron. I mean, it's going to be his 8th professional fight. We're in a day and age in MMA now where you can't just be that one-dimensional and, you know, have consistent success, especially at the mid to high level of this game in general. Bryce Mitchell, the better wrestler, probably not, obviously not the better jiu-jitsu, but I think he's the better wrestler. I think if Bryce wanted to keep this on its feet, I think he probably fucks him up on the feet as well.
How crazy is that? Yes.
And I'm talking about Bryce Mitchell here. I don't think his stand-up is that good, but better than Gracie's. Give me Bryce here for the win. Probably ITD. Don't know how this fight is going to look. If you like the Kron Gracie side, it's his money line is pretty much his finishing ability. His finishing ability is sub.
Fight ends by sub is a play in this fight.
I mean, it's possible.
I think it might. If
I'm Bryce, I don't go to the ground.
I think you keep it standing.
But I mean, do I trust Bryce's IQ? I mean, listen, he's a flat earther, so maybe I don't trust his IQ.
He has decent fight IQ. I don't think he's terrible. I do think he's the rightful favorite, but I'm with you.
I could see Bryce just taking him to the ground and then just whispering in his ear, man, have you spoken to the Lord today? Because I'm taking you there. He's on some apocalyptic shit. He's going to say some craziness to him, you know. Probably start slapping him with the Bible or something. Like, it's going to be crazy in there, but yeah, I think even at the crazy number, I still think Bryce Mitchell's the side. In terms of a bet, I don't really have one here. I don't know. I would have to dig to see if any props stand out, but yeah, I like Bryce here.
Yeah, I'm on Bryce as mentioned, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Fight ends by sub. If it's anything of a plus number, I'm playing it because I think this fight's eventually gonna hit the floor. I think that's why this fight was made. Kron's jiu-jitsu is lights out. Some of the best in the world. But the problem with him is he's not active, and that's the thing that's scary, especially active in a sport where you're getting punched in the face. Bryce is the rightful lean. I'll probably go by decision, but he might knock him out too. But Kron's chin is fucking good. Cub put a beating on him, and he was just walking through his punches. I think Bryce is a good grappler, but not at this level. Like, not at the level of Kron Gracie and under any circumstance. I'm sorry. I think Kron his ability to get to the back, his ways to get to the back, the way he hopped on, I forgot whose back. He hopped on the cage and then cage bumped off to grab the dude's back. I mean, dude, that's a movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot who that was.
That's some filthy movie shit. Oh, it's Alex Caceres.
Yes, Caceres.
And that was his last win. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get to Bryce's back like that because he doesn't have the threat of the striking. If Bryce is gonna wrestle into him, he doesn't.
There's always the opportunity.
There's always an opportunity for someone like that to throw up a triangle and get you out of there. Give me fight ends by sub, but Bryce Mitchell is most assuredly the side. But give me Kron Gracie at plus 425 when this fight's probably going to take place on the mat. I don't hate it a sprinkle on it. I really don't.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have a run back. We have Cyril Bongamin Gan going one-on-one with Drago Alexander Volkov. Cyril Gan. Or Cyril, right? Cyril?
Yes.
I was going to say cereal. I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Cyril Gan, 12-2 overall, fighting out of France, hailing from France, 34 years old. Alexander Drago Volkov, 38-10, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 36 years old. So like I mentioned before, this is a run back. I think their first fight was a 5-rounder, right? And for the most part, I mean, Cyril Gan, did what he needed to do in that fight. I mean, it was... I think he had a couple of 50-45s in there, a 49. What's the score? It's 49 what?
450-45 and the 50-44. I'm correct.
I don't know. Some shit like that.
The first fight.
No, 50-44.
Yeah, or 50 or 49-46. It's either 49-46, 50-45.
There you go. Yeah.
Or 50-44 because it could be a 10-8.
We're hitting you the Scott Steiner math, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We got it.
You're 2/3.
This is a run back 3 years later, and it's a 3-round fight this time. I kind of just see it going the same way it did the last fight. I'm going to be picking Gan here. The fight's going to be a little more interesting only because I think Volk has gotten better. Crazily enough, I think he's gotten better. His last fight against Sergey Pavlovich, looked a little light on his feet. A lot of lateral movement, back and forth, switching stances, sticking the jab out.
Resetting the stance.
Doing a lot of really good shit on his feet. And, Cyril Gan, I think, in my opinion, still the better, is he the better striker? He's the better striker.
I'll say that.
Is he the more technical striker? Maybe. He throws in combo. He's the more athletic guy. He'll throw knees, flying knees. He'll even attempt to mix in some wrestling, at least giving you something to think about. I think Gan is still going to win here. The fight might be closer than the original fight, but I still think Gan, edges this one out. And I love Volk. And I'm going to be rooting for Volkov, to be honest. So give me Gan here for the win, probably by decision. I don't think any of these guys are going to, they don't have fight-ending power, either one of them. And it is heavyweight, so you never know. But I think Gan by decision is probably the way, what I'm leaning here.
Yeah, I'm on, I'll be honest, I'm on Gan too, but man, at this line, he's a minus 305 right now. Yeah, I'm pass. It's the dog a pass on this one for me. Alexander Volkov sitting up close to plus 250 right now. And I feel like if you look at his first fight with Gan versus his last fight against Pavlovich, he is better. He got worlds better. He's light on his feet, switches stances, was jabbing from both sides with his left and right hand, was able to confuse and distort Pavlovich. Cyril Gan, a much more dynamic striker, but not fight-ending power. Volkov is going to have the durability edge. He's going to have the wrestling edge. He's going to have the grappling edge. The only thing he's probably not going to have, I think, is the dexterity with the striking. Volkov fights him big, stays behind the jab, switches stances, resets the stance, keeps him in front of him, and doesn't let him get off the way he wants to get off. I feel like there's a lot of ways for Volkov to close the distance to get a body lock to take him down with an inside trip. There's also a lot of situations where Volkov can fight him big and keep him on the outside with the jab and the hook, which is what he was able to discipline Sergey with. Volkov has evolved his game more than Cyril, in my opinion. Cyril's takedown defense looked really good against Spovovich? Not Spovovich.
No.
That was DBZ.
No, Spivak.
Yeah.
AKA Nosferatu.
Yeah.
AKA Povovich from DBZ.
He wasn't trying to get his blood sucked, bro.
That's a deep nerd. That's a deep nerd cut.
Yeah. But I feel like, Spivak is not like the most technical wrestler with his entries. I feel like the moment got big for him in France. If it was an Apex fight, I think that fight would have been way more competitive. I think the French crowd yelling really got to him and it fucked with him. I
mean,
really
he
do.
only landed like 11 strikes in that fight.
He looked,
and Cyril Gane like almost landed like 100, I think, on his ass.
He looked so gun shy.
Teed up on him, man.
And I don't think it was because he's fought Tybura, who's decent, and he did better work against other fighters.
He just beat Tybura in the rematch.
This is a rematch. I feel like Volkov has the wrestling and grappling upside here. I feel like I think he hits harder. I'm gonna be honest with you, and he has the better chin. I gotta lean Volkov here, man. Especially at this line. I think this is a pure dog or pass spot. I don't trust Cyril. If you're gonna play Cyril, play him by decision. I don't think he's knocking out Volkov. I feel pretty confident that I'm gonna make this play, just because I feel like there are exploitable features for Cyril. But let's see where I get to towards the end of the week. But I like Cyril as the lean, but I love Volkov as a dog shot here.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight and as currently constituted the co-main event of the evening, we have the Nomad Shavkat Rakhmonov going one-on-one with the future Ian Machado Gary. Rakhmonov, perfect, 18-0, fighting out of Kazakhstan, hailing from Kazakhstan, 30 years old. The future Ian Gary, also perfect, 15-0, fighting out of Ireland, repping Ireland, 27 years old. Banger of a fight. Props to Ian Gary for stepping in, and not short notice because he kind of had a fight lined up with Joaquin Phoenix
next week.
Next week, Machado stepping in for Bilal Muhammad, who
hurt himself.
Was supposed to be fighting Rakhmonov for the belt. Mm-hmm. Weird that this is not for an interim belt, but I got my theories about that. I got a feeling they don't want to put an interim belt on this because they don't want to guarantee Bilal's next opponent. UFC, I don't think is really high on Bilal.
Unfortunately, yeah. I felt bad for him, man.
So whatever they can do to do him dirty, I think they're gonna do him dirty. Unfortunately, shout outs to him. He had balls. He wanted Rakhmonov, called him out immediately, and you know that would have been an interesting fight, low key. I still would have probably leaned Rakhmonov there, but
I think it's gonna be more. I think that fight's more interesting than this one for a couple of reasons. Differently, but
I think differently. I could agree with you there. Listen, this fight, somebody's always got to go. I'm going to be leaning Rakhmonov, and I think I'm going to be leaning Rakhmonov only because I mean, it's not the most technical breakdown. I just think he's the better fighter. I think he has more ways to win here. I think
finishing upside.
He has the finishing upside. I think he's got the wrestling upside.
Power.
He's got the power. I don't think he's going to have that much of a hard time getting into Gary's, like, you know, safe zone, pushing him against the cage, beating him up there, possibly taking him down. Ian Gary, not afraid to probably make this a boring ass fight, point fight. He'll point fight. He'll point fight this man to decision.
Good on him.
I think that's what makes this fight very interesting because he's not afraid to take a winning game plan, as dog shit as it is, and win. This guy's a fucking winner. He finds ways to win. That being said, I think Rakhmonov's just the same beast but different animal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Another guy who just doesn't know how to lose. It leans a little bit on the chin, a little more than I would like personally. But, I mean, this guy's striking is phenomenal. I think, like I said, I just think he has more ways to win this fight. And I am going to be picking Rakhmonov here to win. Does he finish Ian Gary? Damn.
There's a fight that could go to decision. It definitely could.
Would that be Rakhmonov's first decision win or loss technically? Yeah, it would be. This fight I can see going the distance only because of Ian Gary's fight
IQ.
His IQ is just tremendous. That being said, I'm just picking Rakhmonov here. I just think if he wants to hurt Ian Gary on the feet, he can. I think if he wants to take him down and beat him up, I think he can as well. There's just more paths I can see for Rakhmonov. So for that reason alone, I'm going to be picking Rakhmonov here for the win.
When this fight first got announced, me and you talked about this. We were like, okay, Shavkat's going to kill him. Then we thought about it and we were like, okay, there's definitely a path for victory for Ian.
There is.
Then we watched footage.
Yep.
And there's a couple of things. I'm going to give you some intricate shit here that I noticed.
Break it down, my brother.
Which is why I'm with you on Shavkat here. And I don't know how it's going to get done. That's the hardest part about all this. It could go to decision. He could knock him out. He could sub him.
That's what makes this fight so good.
It's so hard for me to. I think the only way Ian's gonna win this fight is by decision. Ian's very good at distance management, which is why we had a lot of faith in him possibly upsetting this fight and being a possible dog play. Jeff Neal is probably the only guy that's made Shavkat look super exploitable. The reason Jeff Neal was able to make Shavkat look super exploitable is because he had enough physicality to deal with him in the clinch. and the grappling and the pummeling. But the most important factor is because Jeff Neal, good from out here, very good from this distance, which is where Shavkat excels. The inside boxing from Jeff Neal is exceptional. His counter boxing is exceptional. His counter boxing is exceptional. And he has power. Ian, not very comfortable from out here, not as comfortable from this space.
Yeah, Ian's definitely way more comfortable on the outside.
Ian also not a big puncher, not a dynamic puncher, not a guy who will weave hooks and crack. The other thing we noticed in the fight footage, Jeff Neal and Shavkat had a few pummeling, wrestling, cage situations.
Exchanges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff was able to crash the space and get crashed into and then reverse position, then get reversed out. When he was getting beat up from the outside from Ian, was able to close the space relatively easy. If Jeff Neal is wrestling into you and able to have success, you know you have some trouble with the physicality, especially going up against someone like Shavkat. I think Shavkat is going to be a lot stronger than Ian Gary's expecting. I don't think Ian's that strong, and I think the physicality is going to determine this fight. Shavkat fights a lot like Dricus. In my opinion, I think he's the 170-pound Dricus. Much more technical, but what Shavkat does, he leans on his chin a little bit, but he's able to create situations where he can exploit you the same way he did with Jeff. He got into a firefight with Jeff, was able to L-step out and land the big shot. Ian from space is going to have, I think, some advantages here. The thing is, we then seen in the following fight where Shavkat was able to manage distance very well against Wonderboy with a bad foot, like a practically broken foot. Get in, and I understand people are going to say Wonderboy is washed and 40. I get all that, but Wonderboy, exceptional athlete. Wonderboy can beat you with the counter, the in and out boxing. I think Ian does his best work when he's throwing teeps to the body and kicks to the body.
Just getting his kick game in general going.
If he can't get that going, or if he even gets the leg taken and then taken down, it's going to be bad. I think if Shavkat gets on top of him, it could go very bad, very fast. I'm not trying to shit on Ian Gary. I just think if he decides to get like a high single like he did against Wonderboy, I think has more balance and dexterity to keep himself up as opposed to Gary.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, there were situations with the MVP fight with Gary where Gary was getting exploited a little bit with the strength. MVP was able to far side wrist control him with the opposite arm and hold down his wrist so he couldn't choke him. He's got to control center. And if he doesn't control center in this fight, it's over, in my opinion. I think if Shavkat's able to push him against that cage, Shavkat showed he can wrestle into somebody like Wonderboy, who has good takedown defense. Another guy who worked with Chris Weidman, which is why his takedown defense was so good, and get him down.
Yeah.
And that's a guy with exceptional balance because of his karate career. That's why you're able to throw kicks like that. I don't think Ian is kicking like Wonderboy. I don't think he has the balance of Wonderboy. Shavkat's going to be able to get his back and or get to a single, high single, or a double and take him down. I think the fight is going to be, if Gary wants to win, he has to keep the fight here. Mm-hmm. Where do I think the fight's going to take place predominantly? Right here. This is where it's going to decide who's going to win. And I'm willing to say right here on this podcast that I think Shavkat is going to be able to get him down. If this was a 3-round fight, I'd be a little more inclined to pick Gary. And the thing is, he's the bigger puncher. I think Gary might be the better striker, but the boxing edge is on Shavkat. And I think the A to B with the boxing is there. Shavkat can throw kicks too. Shavkat's the better wrestler. Shavkat's bigger. Shavkat's stronger. Shavkat's got the better chin. He's not getting dropped by Kanan Song. Shavkat's good, man. And I just feel like he just has way more ways to win this fight. But the space is what's going to determine this fight. If the fight stays here, Gary is live. But to do that for 5 rounds against a pressure fighter when you yourself don't have punching power to gain his respect like Jeff Neal did is going to be a very daunting task, in my opinion. Gary's got to run for 5 rounds. And I don't know if he can. I think this is Shavkat's fight to lose. Give me Shavkat. Don't know how. Just give me Shavkat for this fight.
Next fight on the card, at men's flyweight, and as currently constituted the main event of the evening for the flyweight championship of the world, we have the champion, the cannibal, Alexandre Pantoja, going one-on-one with a debuting, straight out of Ryzen, Kai Asakura. Pantoja, 28-5. The champion, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 34 years old. The challenger, the debutante, Asakura. So, sorry, I didn't want to butcher his name, and now you fucked it up. So. Asakura, 21-4, fighting out of Japan, hailing from Japan. The challenger is 31 years old. great fight, but a fight that I'm going to be leaning the champion here. No offense to Asakura. I think Kai is very good. He's a very good striker. He's got power. He's going to be the bigger guy in here. He's going to probably give Pantoja fits on the feet. He might be the better striker overall here. That being said, I do think Pantoja's got the edge here in the grappling. Asakura hasn't really fought that many grapplers, and the grapplers he has fought, they have been able to not only take him down, but also get to his back. Am I saying Asakura is going to be like, is a bum or something along the lines of like the Ritter? You know, no. I think the Ritter, a little overrated. Asakura, I do think he belongs in the UFC. I think he's a UFC caliber fighter, but I mean, I gotta lean Pantoja here. I think Pantoja's got a chin. He should be able to withstand some of the striking.
He can crack too.
He can also crack himself. And I think Pantoja is going to be able to get to this guy's back. So give me Pantoja here. I think Pantoja wins via submission. I don't think he's going to run through him, but I could see like a third round submission, in my opinion. I do think Pantoja stops the hype train as soon as it gets here. Yeah. Nothing against Kai. I think he's an excellent striker, like I said, but I'm all Pantoja here.
Yeah, the only reason this fight's interesting, in my opinion, is because of Asakura's feet and his size. With all that said, I'm not going to add much onto that. I think there's plenty of fight footage with like his second loss or his third loss and Juan Archuleta getting to his back with ease. And I think if you allow someone like Pantoja, who's going to be faster than those guys because he's a weight class down, with underrated wrestling, by the way. I think he has some of the most underrated wrestling in the UFC, to get to your back, and he's probably the best MMA grappler right now in the UFC. I feel like it's just going to be a matter of time before he gets to you. He can crack, he can defend himself on the feet. Asakura has legit power, but I feel like this is a bit much too soon for him. I feel like this is a fight where he's going to have size. He knows how to use his feet very well, but I feel like he's also not the best example of someone who's a longevity fighter, like in terms of like the journey of the fight. I think he's dangerous very early, but I think as this fight progresses, I think Pantoja is going to find his spots, probably get to his back and sub him. His takedown defense not that good, allows people to his back a lot, has been knocked out before.
Been knocked out? I mean, listen, I think the power is going to be the key. I mean, he was the first guy to knock out Horiguchi.
Correct.
Impressive.
Yep.
He's fought guys, UFC caliber. He's fought Manel Kape. He's fought Alatang Ali. Again, like you mentioned before, he's fought Archuleta, who is, I think he's a solid fighter.
Correct. But lost the rematch to Manel Kape and lost the rematch to Horiguchi.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's because he doesn't have that much to his game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, once you see him fight once, like, you kind of know how he fights.
And the other thing you mentioned too, I don't think you mentioned it off the podcast, he's not a great in-fight adjuster. He's just not. I think he knows how to fight one way. And if it doesn't go that way, it goes downhill very fast. And you've seen it. Like, if he's not demanding the space, even his striking, he's got good power, but he swings wide, man.
And I was going to say, I think his style, I mean, if you watch his fights, he's one of those guys who definitely benefited from the Ryzen / like Pride style rules of like
kicking and kneeing a downed opponent.
Yeah, it's just stomping your head, soccer kicking. A lot of his wins are via that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
with that said, I'm with you here. I think Pantoja probably via sub. Oh, no, not a dog, actually. He's a favorite. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, he's got that dog in him. So.
He does.
And that does it for UFC 307. Oh, nope. Sorry. That's 310. I'm going back in time. But we do have some boxing to take care of here, ladies and gentlemen. And, without further ado, I'm just going to throw it right over to my brother. He's probably going to kick it off with the Matchroom first or the Top Rank. I'm not too sure. Anyway, whatever you want to break down, take it away.
Yeah, so we'll start with the Matchroom fight. We have Liam Paro going against Richardson Hitchins. This fight is closely lined at a -125 for Liam Paro, a +100 for Richardson Hitchins. This fight is very interesting. It's a great fight. This is almost like a fraud check fight, low-key, for Richardson Hitchins. I think if Richardson can get this done, he may establish himself as one of the better boxers in this division. However, I do have my questions about how he fights. Did fight Lemos's last fight, the guy that Keyshawn Davis disposed of in 2 rounds. That dude is built like a fire hydrant, but that guy also missed weight by 5 pounds in his last fight and still got starched by Keyshawn. Richardson Hitchins had some trouble with Lemos, and Lemos was able to put pressure on him, was able to land damage on him, and was able to arguably win the fight. You could argue Lemos won the fight. And he's a guy that doesn't fight typically too often, doesn't have the highest fight IQ, kind of fights one way. Liam Paro can fight backwards, can fight forward, does have decent pop, can land damage on you. He hurt, I think, Sabril once in the fight, but he was able to understand the space with Subriel Matias, mitigate his striking and his downhill attack with effective footwork and effective clinching. I think Liam Paro, very high fight IQ fighter. I'm going to lean Liam Paro for this fight, not with the highest degree of confidence. This fight has the chance to be very boring, and if it's very boring, they might be pushing Hitchison because he is the younger prospect here, but Liam Paro is coming through to take people's O's, and he's doing a good job at doing so. I feel like this guy is being slept on a little bit. I don't think the Subriel Matias fight was a fluke. I think it was a mixture of Liam Paro showing how good he is and Subriel Matias sleeping on him. But regardless, I have real questions about Richardson Hitchins. I don't think he has the best chin. He might cut a little too much weight to this weight class because he's huge for the weight class. Also, not the best footwork, and he's got pillow hands. So if he can't get your respect and he doesn't have the best footwork, he probably can get cracked in this fight by a guy who I think understands space a lot better than him. When he's in danger, when he's safe, as he showed with Subriel Matias. Give me Liam Paro. I'm going to say by decision, but I'm not going to, this fight, not with a high degree of confidence. It's a scary one to bet, in my opinion, because it really can go either way depending on who you think the promotion's trying to push and what Hitch's version of Hitchison is going to show up, because he is young. He can make improvements. He can keep this guy on the outside if he decides to, but doesn't have a ton of punching power. And I think Liam Paro is super underrated. This could be a dog or pass spot, and I'm not going to look at you crazy, but I think Liam Paro at minus 125 is not a bad line. And I think he's going to get it done, but not with a high degree of confidence just because of all the variables that I just mentioned.
And that does it for the Matchroom fight, but we still have some top ranks to cover. So without further ado, take it away, my brother.
We have Emanuel Navarrete going against Oscar Valdez II. This fight is super intriguing for a couple of reasons. Emanuel Navarrete is the rightful favorite, did win the first fight. I thought he was able to get a little ahead and out front of the older Valdez with volume. The thing is, there's a couple of things here. Emanuel Navarrete, I would love to see him on the scale. If he does not look in shape, I think Oscar Valdez is immediately a live dog. Valdez is the better counterpuncher. He's going to be smaller in there, but he knows how to make adjustments. He's under one of the best coaches in the game. I feel like Oscar Valdez, depending on how Emanuel Navarrete looks on the scale, is definitely live on this. Because if Emanuel Navarrete is on, he should be able to do the same thing he did in the first fight. But he did just lose his belt to a Ukrainian fighter. Cannot remember the gentleman's name, so I apologize, but he did lose that fight decisively because I think he overlooked him. I'm wondering how motivated he is to get up for a rematch against a guy that he already beat. And he beat him pretty decisively, in my opinion. It was close in certain instances, but Navarrete's chin and pressure and his ability to wear damage was very impressive in that fight against Valdez, who is a precise counterpuncher. Give me Navarrete via decision, but once again, depending on how he looks in the scale, this could easily be a Valdez bet at dog money at plus 185. Because if Emanuel Navarrete is not in shape and doesn't look motivated for this fight, looks a little soft on the belly, I am going to play Oscar Valdez because Navarrete is a donk. He is a guy that you do not like betting minus money on. And this will become the pure definition of a dog or pass spot. And that's exactly how you should play this fight. Give me Navarrete as a lean, but depending on the scale, Oscar Valdez might be the play.
And last but not least, we still got the co-main, which can be like possibly fighter than height as well, to be honest.
Yes, and the reason why I left the co-main for last is because I think it is the funnest and best fight of the night, in my opinion. It's going to be explosive. We have Rafael Espinoza going against Robeisy Ramirez. Dude, the first fight is one of the best fights I've ever watched. Like, it was action-packed. It was technical. There were drops, drama, storylines. Is Robeisy not who we think he is? Espinoza, obviously, he won the first fight. That fight was still razor close despite everything. Espinoza got dropped in the fifth. Robeisy got dropped in the last round. You could argue Robeisy won the fight. I think I edged it slightly for Espinoza, if I remember correctly, but not with I could see it both ways. Espinoza, downhill volume puncher, very good at putting his punches together. And it's crazy enough, even though he's the much bigger fighter in this fight, the better inside fighter. Robeisy is the better technical boxer in this fight. I think he's going to want to get up for this fight to right that wrong, because I think in his mind he won that fight. And he was able to have Espinoza wobbled and hurt in certain spots because of his counterboxing, his angles, his footwork, and his punching power. This is a big show me spot for Robeisy. If he can get the belt back from this guy that beat him in a very close decision, I feel like this is going to wipe a lot of wrongs and push him to the moon. This fight is going to be action-packed. There will be a lot of punching. It's not going to be boring. I don't like either side here. I think Robeisy at minus 150 or Espinoza at plus 120. The bet I like for this fight is the knockdowns, because I do feel like the counterboxing of Robesi and the volume of punching of Espinoza lead to a lot of problems for both of them. And you see it in the first fight. I don't see much of that changing. I see the action starting earlier. I also see them, the waiting period not being as long, hence the action starting earlier. I feel that Robesi has the punching power and the counter punching edge, but Espinoza showed you in his last fight that he was able to use his size, use the inside boxing, which surprisingly he's better at, and just pummel him and eventually get to him in the last round. As a lean, I'm going to lean Robesi. I think he is the better counterboxer here. I think he has more adjustments to make. I think Espinoza fights one way, even though in the fight after Robesi, he had a very impressive showing against a decent challenger. I just don't think that guy is Robesi. I also think Espinoza is a guy who might be cutting too much weight for this weight class, which is why he's getting rocked a little easier. He's big for the weight class. And I mean, dude, the way he got dropped in the fifth was bad. Robesi is going to find his spots a little easier in this fight and effectively counterbox this guy. He might knock him out. I love the knockdowns in this fight. I think there's capabilities for both sides to knock each other down multiple times, or for both sides to knock each other down in general. Give me the knockdowns in this fight as the play. Not sure about the side, but I'm going to lean Robesi. I'll go by decision, but man, he could knock him out too. Give me Robesi by decision. The knockdowns are the play in this fight.
And that does it, ladies and gentlemen. We talked a little UFC. We talked a little Top Rank. We talked a little Matchroom. But you know what? Enough talking. Let's take us away. Let's take us home, my brother.
You already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying these visuals right now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that fucking notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. Second to last episode of the year in the books. Episode 80 next week. Last UFC cover of the year, which is crazy. It's sad. Pretty much going to have the whole month of December off. But love you guys. The subscriptions have been insane over the last 3 weeks. We love you guys. We missed you guys over the holiday break too. You already know the deal. Holla at you guys. See you guys later. Take it easy. Enjoy Black Friday and the Black Friday weekend. Love you guys. See you guys later.